Okay, welcome to my latest stream. And I was surprised when I looked it up yesterday, actually Sunday, when I did the pre-stream, the preview of this, that I had not done one in like 15 months. A little bit shocking. So I'm going to actually use a presentation on this one rather than a Word document. So I hope everybody's okay with that. You hear the birds outside too? Sorry about that. It's still daylight over here. I'm starting kind of early, but once it gets a little bit darker, we probably might hear my family downstairs, because even though I have the door closed, it sometimes comes up through here, and I'm doing it right during the time when they'll be having dinner. So let me see. Do I sound like I'm clipping or anything like that? I noticed that when I listened to the playback before, that it was actually like I was clipping for this. I don't hear that right now. I lowered the amplitude on the mixer. So according to the mixer, I can hear it here. I won't listen to it the whole time, but I've decided to keep that on there. Well, thanks everybody for congratulations. Hi, Catherine, how you doing? Yes, I am now officially retired. Well, I'm still getting paid for the day, and the way the state does it, you're actually paid until like midnight, something like that. But I already turned in my phone, so they can't reach me. They could call my home number. They always have that, because that had to go on the record. But I did not give them my private email. I made a special email, a Gmail account, for them to send me email in case they need to send me something related to the benefits, because I do get benefits after retiring from this particular organization. I won't name it today, although some people may have already heard me mention it before, but I'll leave the name of the organization out, just to say it's a state agency that I worked for, and I did their computer security compliance, which is like, anybody know how a police department works? I was sort of like an internal affairs guy. So as you can imagine, I didn't have a lot of friends, especially, I tend to be a bit diligent when it comes to doing things by the book. It's the way I am, especially when I'm certified, as a CISSP. The P at the end is for professional, and I had to actually sign an oath when I first got that back in 1999. Now, it is now expired. As of last Friday, I did not bother renewing my CISSP. I will keep my professional engineering license, of course. So that's not going to go away. Let me take a quick look at the chat and see what's out here. Or who's out here, I'm sorry. Hey, Tech for Fun. Thanks for showing up. I do have to start off just to make it clear. Oh, hi, and excuse me. Hi, Jeremy. Glad to see you here. Right now, I have it set for no ending time, although I'm expecting that I'll probably run out of things to talk about by 7:30. So 2 JAUs is what at most I would probably get, but we'll see how it goes. I did bring a lot of stuff up from my storage downstairs that I'm going to be talking about. So I will be putting that stuff and showing you. I do have the overhead set up here, so we should be able to see the overhead. Right now I have it set still on the bench with my existing PC that I've been building, my Creator PC. The next step on this is actually to put it inside the case, and the case is sitting back underneath the table here. So we'll see how that goes. Let me go back to, let me go to the monitor cam. That might make it a little bit easier, because I'm going to be switching to this going forward, and I can read the chat a little bit better. Oh, you were the internal affairs guy, yeah. I think I mentioned that to you before, Catherine. Well, I had to make sure that the people who were in charge of the actual systems that had to meet the federal regulations, I had to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. because if they're not, and we actually cause a violation, the particular industry I'm in agrees that they will self-report. So I would have to self-report that instance. And I was the one that usually led the investigations if they were computer security related. Okay? Let me see what else some of the people are saying. No sound on this scene. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Really? It doesn't show sound on this one? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. It looks like the mixer's putting out at this scene. So, do you hear on the just to test it? Do you hear on this scene? The mixer shows it as well. So I'm hoping you can hear that as well. Okay. So let me switch back to the monitor cam. What I have going on next is I'm going to show a presentation that converted that Word document into an actual presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. And I'll start with that. I didn't get a chance to fill it completely. Things were kind of busy this week with my last 3 days at work. So it's not perfect, but I do have a lot of the stuff with me. So what I didn't put in the presentation pictorially, I can show you the boxes. And what I'd like to do is not open everything up. That would take all night. Because you'll see that some of the boxes aren't even, the seals aren't broke. Bad, I know. I'm not going to use that term that starts with my because I don't like that term, but it was probably not nice of me and not fiscally conscious of me not to have opened it up to make sure it worked. But I wanted to potentially do box openings. Now, I plan on doing 1 or 2 of them today, and we'll see how that works out, okay? Let's, Catherine, you got your mini PC, and I mangled you mangled the FPC cable to the SSD, and now I have no clue if I need a type of A or A type B flex cable. What mini PC is that? What brand is that, Catherine? Is that a Raspberry Pi or something else? Okay, we can get to that. I want to get started with unless somebody has questions to start off about what I'm going to cover today. I do, by the way, Tech for Fun, I did not, even though I had notes scribbled in detail, I did not issue the manifesto that I talked about. And I think I may have described it to some of you in one of the other streams that we were all in together, that it was meant to be in two parts. The first part being reminding my organization of the things they should be possibly correcting, if not looking at in more detail. Well, I wasn't going to mention what those things were because they're potential vulnerabilities. But the second part was going to be talking about the organization and how it makes it difficult for people to be at the top of their game. So I may say some of that toward the end of this. We'll see how that goes. That's how I feel at that point. But I don't have anything to read to you. I'm not going to read my scratch notes. It wouldn't make any sense. Let me take a look here. The Klein voltmeter. Okay. MM400. Yeah, sorry about the manifesto. Yeah, I did seriously think about that. I only made that decision like Monday of this week because that's when I would have started writing it to have it ready for my final hour working for the organization this afternoon. And so I decided it was, I'm going to stick on the right side, well, not the right side, but the let's just say the side that I feel comfortable on by not going into that with them right now. I don't know if it'll do much difference. I did want to, if nothing else, give them the organizational issue things, because there are some people that I left behind that I feel bad You know, they were people that I had coached, people that I had worked with from the time they first started, and they were, let's say, they were. I'll use the word suffering the way the rest of us were in terms of this organizational issues, set of issues that they had. But we'll see. We'll see what I say later on. And I'm not going to drink during the stream because I'm afraid of what I might say. So I'll have my cocktail afterwards if that's okay. Oh, AliExpress. Yeah, taking the high road. That's a good one, Tony. I like that. I decide it's better to take the high road. I'm sort of counting on karma, but I look at it from a more spiritual version of it than I think the pure definition of karma is. I think, you get what you reap, ultimately. And not to say that, you're going to be given something that just because you said something or did something, but it's more in the negative form. If you did not hurt somebody, I think you wind up being rewarded with things going potentially a little bit better for you. And I'm going into the abyss. I'm going into the unknown now that I'm retired. I had just under 14 years with this organization. And I do get a pension. It's not a lot. It's more than it would have been just because of my age. Because, I'm already over 65, so that's going to affect how much the retirement, the state retirement will provide, because they figure I don't have that much time left. Well, I'm gonna try to beat the odds on that. We'll see how it is. I see the doctor. I take my medication that I have to take, so hopefully I'm doing the right thing. A private stream. I don't know. Like I said, I might say some of this toward the end of this, even without a cocktail, but we'll see how that goes. For now, let me show you what this frees me up to do. I'm only going to talk about the YouTube channel that I have now. Some people know that I'm talking about creating a second YouTube channel next year sometime. And that'll be more on my hobby end of things, which some of you definitely know because I've mentioned it before. But I'm not going to get into it here because I believe, some people might be taken back by it. So I'll just keep it, calm in the middle at this point and just leave that out for now. When I open up that channel, I'll obviously make an announcement of it on this channel, and people can go there if they want to and see what I'm talking about. So with that, let me switch over to the presentation that I have created. I should have got 3 screens up here. I have a third one over there, but it's a little bit out of the way. So let's leave it like this for now with the 3 screens and not mess it up, right? I went and grabbed the wrong thing there. Okay. Let's put this over to the side. And then I can go ahead and I want to see the chat here. And then I want to share the presentation. So that should be with the screen share. There we go. So here's the presentation that I'd like to talk about today. And it's basically a presentation form of that same Word document that I was going through on Sunday. So with that, let me see. The first one that I decided to talk about is the PDP or the PIDP 1170 simulator. That's a project I just recently got curious about because I was looking up some legacy, some older computer systems that I used to work on. Mainly because I have added to this list later on, you'll see it, firing up my Atari ST, Atari 1040 ST that is. And by the way, the 1040 means that's how many thousands of bytes of memory it had. So it had barely a meg of memory in that PC. But I got through my first graduate school with it because I was able to get Pascal and assembler running on it, and I was able to do the projects using that one. So with this one, if it works the way it's supposed to, and so far the other videos that I've watched shows that it should, it's a reduced size front panel of a PDP 1170. It looks exactly like it in the picture, except for that piece of wood on the bottom there. And the sheer size of it is normally about, you could like multiply each dimension there by 60%, and that's probably what the real size of the front panel on that computer is. Very powerful computer. It actually cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy one of those back in the day. It was released in 1975, I believe. I'm talking about the one that was the full-blown computer, PDP 1170. And it was one of the mid-range ones that they had come up with. So they had earlier ones all the way back to an 1103 and 1123. They modernized those later with newer revisions, but it was basically the same computer. I always regret the fact that when I used to build Heath kits back in the late 70s and early 80s, they actually had a PDP 1103 that you could buy as a kit and put it together. So it was very expensive though for the time, so I did not want to invest that kind of money in it. But I regret not having done that, because it would have been nice to have one of those computers. They were loud and they drew a lot of power, but I would be a real model of a real computer that I would have. But in order to use it, I'd have to get either paper tape reader, writer, or a mag tape in order to load the software on it. Because you can load software into that front panel. You can type the address and then type the 16-bit piece of data that you want to put at that address right there from the front panel. I plan on showing that with a simple program written in PDP-11 machine language when I do put this together and start doing the testing. Okay, but it has several operating systems that it comes with. The ones that I worked with that were made by DEC were called RSX11, RT11, Ristus, which I knew how to start that and stop it, you know, as a technician, because I worked on this computer as a technician in the field, and but I never really played with it. Ristus was a real-time system, so there wasn't much you could do on the. It's sort of like a hypervisor, as it would be today, you know. So the actual core of the time-sharing system, it didn't do much. The screen didn't have a lot of interesting stuff on it. There was only a few commands you could do. You can find out the status of connections and things like that, but you could not do anything right from the console. And right there, that laptop is being used as a console. So that's what you would see on the console. And if you loaded like Unix, and this is the old version of Unix, and BSD, the old version of BSD, then you would actually be able to talk to it at the command line right there from the console. And I did do that, especially with RT11. I had an RT11 to play with when I was in the support group of the company that I worked for, and they and I had it inside the computer room, so the noise and the power draw was over there, and then it supported 2 users at one time. So I actually ran the serial lines, the RS-232 serial lines, from the computer room into the area, the office space area where we were at. So I had a lot of experience with it. So that's the first project I'd like to talk about. Now, keep in mind, the order in which I'm showing these are not necessarily the order I'm going to do the content creation. This is one that I have sitting here right now. Let me go and show you what I got. And here's the piece of wood. They gave you this piece of wood, as that picture showed, underneath it, and that's where you mount the actual unit from. So this is the actual dimensions of it. It's probably about 13 inches long and about 3.5 inches wide and about an inch in height. And it has a little area carved out which allows you to put that unit on top. Okay? And then in here is the actual kit. And this is a kit you have to assemble from scratch pretty much. Let me see. So if I open this up, I didn't open this up yet, so you're the first ones that see it. I did cut the box though, because I wanted to see if there was instructions. And then I found out that there is no instructions that come with it. You've got to do it all online with the company that sold this to me. So here's an actual PCB board that makes up the whole front panel. And there's going to be a lot of soldering involved with it. Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, if anybody could give me the likes, I'd appreciate it. That would help with the algorithm. So it actually says here, PDP 1170. They actually made it. It's like I said, it's reduced size. So the full size one would probably come out to here. Another maybe 40% added to each dimension, right? About up to here. That's how the full size one. My brother-in-law, who wound up working for the same company after I left it, I referred him to it, and I recommended him to some of the managers over there. He was actually, before he left that company, he was able to snag a real one. But it doesn't have a computer behind it. All it has is the front panel. Okay? So this will be a working one because it includes a lot more. It includes a whole kit of stuff here. I mean, look at this. I'm talking about you have to put every single component on here. Every single switch has to be soldered in. And there's all kinds of different types of switches. And it has another package that has in it diodes and resistors and a couple of chips in here as well. And a couple of rheostats. All of this has to be soldered in to that board. So it's going to be an interesting. It'll remind me of when I was building kits in the 70s, and it may that itself may bring back some memories. So I think that's all. I'll open it for now, and I'll put that back together. So you will see this being done. I'm not sure if it'll be the first thing I do, but it'll definitely be done within the next couple of months. To be honest with you, we'll see how time allows. So I'll put this all back in here. Okay. There we go. So that's that kit. The Pi DP11. Okay. So now, now this is another one. I was looking to buy a Raspberry Pi and I got carried away. The new Pi 5. So I wound up buying a whole bunch of, let me switch back to the screen. Sorry about that. So this particular one I bought two cases, but I may not use the other one. I'll probably not return it because I wound up buying two Pi 5s. They were on sale at Micro Center and I couldn't resist. So I actually have two of them. I haven't played with either one yet. So what I did is I'm going to put on it, what's shown on here, it has a nice tall case. Now this case is meant to have it fully stacked out with what they call hats. So initially I plan on putting two hats on it. I'm going to put the hat that allows you to put an M2 drive, and I'm going to put the hat that turns the internet connection into a PoE. So it's called a PoE hat. And I have all that stuff here in this box. Let me go back to the overhead. So this box here has all of that in it. Let me zoom in a little bit. Just so people can see what I'm talking about. I'll do it this way. That might make it easier to see everything. So here's the NVMe 1 terabyte drive that I got for it. It's one of the ones that is approved to work with it. And then I got a Pi over here. I got a Pi over here. I've got the first hat, I think, is this. One of these is a hat. Oh no, those are the 2 Pis. What am I talking about? This is a Pi 4. I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong thing. That Pi 4 is needed for the previous project I talked about. These are 2 Pi 5s. Okay, I did open up one of these just to see what it looks like. It doesn't look that much difference, but it has quite a few new features to it, including a much faster processor. So I know Jeremy has done a lot of work with this, and he's done videos on it. I think here's the tall case. So this case here, which I showed in the thing, this allows you to really go crazy with the hats because it's very tall. And you can put the Pi in here, and you can put 2, maybe 3 hats on it. Okay. It's got all the stuff inside of it. I'm not going to open that up now. So that's the case. It's made of steel, so it's not plastic. I like that because it actually helps with the cooling of it. Okay. And then I have the actual hats. One of these is the what is this? This is the M2 hat. So open that up, take a look at that. Oh, it's inside of a little package here. So just like in the picture I showed, I think I can take this out without breaking anything. So here's the M2 head. You can put an M2 drive on here, and then you could connect it directly up to the Pi. I think the cables are in here too. Yep, the cables look like they're in here too. Yep. Oh, the standoffs. Hopefully I don't need the cables. We'll see what happens with that. I might be short that if that's the case. Can everybody still hear me okay? Do a live stream for the Pi. I might do one, but I think I'd like to make some videos as well, because there's going to be multiple videos that I'll have to do here to get this whole thing working. Okay, so it's not going to be a one-shot deal with doing the build. I'm going to have to get it to work with each of the hats separately. And then once I have it working with all the hats, then I'll put it inside the case. So maybe I could do live streams and then just take clippings from that and turn it into a video, video that covers everything. So I bought some more cables. This is another M2 that I had. It appears to be working, but it's only 128 gig. I put it in here just in case I didn't get a chance to buy another one, but I did, so I probably won't be using this. This here are some extra cables that I bought for it. These are really for the PCIe cables, the Pi PCIe cables. That's what's in here. Let me show you what I mean. This is a kit of cables, so it comes with 3 different sizes. Depending on how many hats you put on, you may need a shorter or longer one. There we go. So we take a look at this. There should be a bunch of cables in here. Yeah, see how there's different size cables? I think there's 3 different ones, yeah. 3 different size PCIe cables. in one kit. So that way I can do one hat, two hats, or maybe I can do three hats. I haven't decided yet if there's a third hat I'd like to put on there, but you never know. There's little screws in here too. That came out. I hope I didn't lose anything. I'm over the box intentionally, so I think we're good. Okay, oops, there was one stuck between my fingers. They're so small, I don't want to lose anything here. There's a little screw that fell in there. There we go. Looks like it came with two or three screws. Doesn't look like there's any more in there. Okay. So that's that. And then over here I have the power supply. Now one thing, if I go PoE, I don't need this, right? But I may not do that initially, especially if I'm building it in stages. If you don't use a very high wattage power supply, 27 watts or above, from what I understand, and I didn't try yet, the Pi will actually tell you that it is downgraded itself, that it's running at a lower speed, maybe some reduced features. You get an error message in the Pi software when it comes up. So I wanted to have this just to make sure, like the one I destroyed. No. This says Raspberry Pi on it. Okay, so it's an official power supply. I learned my lesson with that. So I paid the extra dollars and bought the official one. And then this here is a hat that just came in earlier today. And it is the PoE hat. I didn't even open this up myself yet. So we have some heat sinks, it looks like. Or maybe not heat sinks, maybe just thermal pads. And then you have this thing here. This is the PoE hat. And I'm doing it over the box so I don't lose anything. It actually has a cable in there, it looks like. But maybe that cable is not going to be long enough for what I'm doing. A PCIe cable, that is. No, that's not a cable. I thought that was a cable. That's a connector. That's a sponge actually protecting a connector. But this is the PoE hat, and it comes with a fan that'll blow down on the CPU. So that's what this one is. Okay. Do I need light on this? Maybe I do. Let me turn the light on. Let's see if it helps or hurts. Okay. Okay, it looks like it helps. So I should have had that light on all the time. So that's the PoE hat. And it'll basically convert the Ethernet connector into a PoE. Okay. And as some of you may know, and I didn't put it on the thing here, I mentioned it in general terms. When I redo my rack, I have a brand new switch. It's mostly 1 gig connections on it. But they're all PoE, and there's 2 different types of PoE. A regular power and a high power. So that's something that I'm going to make the transition over to as much PoE as I can once I rebuild my rack, my network rack. Is there other stuff in here? Oh yeah, there's the standoffs. And there's a heat sink, it looks like. Oh yeah, heat sink that you put over, I guess, the thermal pads. Okay, so it's got a few things in here. Put this away. I don't know how they folded it. It's taking me a lot of effort to get it back in here. I don't want to put it on the side because I could lose parts. I did that one time right after a stream. Nobody saw it, but I wound up losing some parts that I didn't want to lose. And this is another case that I bought. Like I said, it's a smaller one. It's also metal, but it's not meant to have more than one hat on it. So we'll see. You will see what we want to do with that one. This here, that's another power supply that I bought. So I have two powers, one for each Pi, if necessary. So I have extra. Okay. And there we go. That's the Pi. The Pi 5 project. The box has nothing to do with it. I just had a spare box. Put everything together in. So let me put this away. Again, I want to seal it up so I don't lose anything. There we go. There we go. So I got that one. Okay, back to the overhead. Back to the, the presentation. Let me see what's in chat. Oh, Catherine, you've been a lot here. Sorry I missed all that. See if there's anything there. I don't have the StreamYard, so I can't pop the comments up, so I can only look at the things right now. There is some add-ons. Oh, I got the, I think I showed a video of it. I got the, it's, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I have it right over here. Let me see what it is. Unify, a Unify Pro 24. It has two 10 gig SFPs, and it has 24 1 gig PoEs with two different levels. I think 16 of the ports have the standard PoE power level, and then there's 8 of them that has high power. To answer your question, Tony. Anybody have any other questions on what I covered so far? To talk about my retirement a little bit, it's bittersweet. I don't. It's going to take me a while to get used to it, to be honest with you, because I'm used to, having that day job. I've had it for more than 40 years. I've been working for somebody in a day job. I started when I was 19 years old and never stopped working full time, even when I went to college and got all of my degrees and got my professional engineer license and my certifications and everything else. So it's the Pro line switches, that's it. And so that's going to go into my rack along with other changes I want to make. But I'd like to get, you'll see what's coming up here. I have a new NAS that I want to build. I'd like to put that into the rack at the same time, which means the prerequisite on doing my network is to complete the new NAS. So let me go back to that, and I think it's coming up soon. Oh, here's one in the middle. My daughter, this is a PC that we made a series of 3 videos. They're quite long. They were early on in my channel's existence. And my daughter, who is in her late 20s at the time, she built it with me, and I tried to get her to do as much as possible in terms of building it. And she liked it. I mean, she actually was one that wanted to do a computer build, and it was something that I thought would, be good to show on my channel. That's what it looks like when we finished it. And then I made changes to it because we had to put in a new cooler. That's with the air cooler. That did not work well for that PC. It's too enclosed, that particular case. I really didn't want to get it, but it looked pretty and it was very popular. I made a review video of this case just because, why not? I had it sitting around before we started the build. and I decided to just do a review, and that's probably my most popular review video I ever made. I don't know what it was, but it attracted everybody to it. The case review, which I didn't show it being used, I just went through the case and gave my opinion of it. And I think even there I said, hey, it probably looks pretty, because I didn't power it on. It probably looks pretty, but I would not count on it to be cool. It just didn't look like something that would be cool. And sure enough, when we put it together and put her PC in there, and all she has is an 8th gen Intel, what is it, the 8700, yeah, the 8700, not the K version, so it's not, you couldn't overclock it, although I turned on XMP overclocking with it, and that's when it really got hot. So once I overclocked the memory with the standard overclocking using XMP, it really got hot. So I had to put a AIO in it, and I made a video about that too. I did that in her apartment. But as a result of doing that, the AIO could not go on the top, it had to go in the front, so I had to move all the fans around, and I messed up the whole look of the thing. So now I bought the same fans to replace the ones that originally came with the case, so that at least they all match. That's one thing with it. And I also have a 3060 Ti that it's actually a Rogue Strick that's actually sitting in a test bench right now over there, but I'm not using it. I'm just sitting there idle, so I'll give that to her. She has I think it's a 1660 Ti right now GPU in there, so it'll be a big upgrade in terms of her GPU performance. Yeah, 8700, yes, that's it, Catherine. So that's going to be an upgrade with that one. She has to finish up her latest certification first, though. She just finished some nursing school, and she wants to get certified for the first level of nursing, so she's getting ready for that. Okay. Did I go the wrong way? Yeah, I did the wrong. There we go. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is the PC that's right over here. Let me remind people what it looks like. I did not fix the RGB. I started to do it, and I ran into some issues, so I said I would do it tomorrow, and you know what happens with tomorrow, right? So this PC right here, this is my streaming PC. The CPU is a 5900X, yeah, 5900X, and it never ran cool with that Vitro AIO. So I went and got a new one, and let me show you that new one. I have it over here somewhere. I think you would like this, Catherine, I really do. The Liquid Freezer 2, 240, RGB version, and in white. I did not really open this up either. Let me see. Let's see what we got here. So here's the pump platen part of it, the hoses. I don't want to take it all apart right now, but the fans are already attached, just like it is with the other Arctic AIO that I got, the one that's sitting in my VM server right now. So I'm have high expectations that this will work better than the one that I have in there. Okay. Okay. So I got really lucky. I found a sale. I was looking for a good one, but didn't want to spend a lot of money on it, and I got lucky and found one, so I bought it. I think in the pre-video I did on Sunday, you undervolt the 5800X. Well, I have a 5900X, so maybe it needs undervolting too, huh? Okay, I'll have to think about that. I haven't played with reclocking or lowering or anything, or lowering the power on a CPU yet. I know how to do it. I've done it on a test bench, but I never did it for purposes of really using it for anything. Quite honestly, I don't feel comfortable with having a PC that I need to count on to be at the hairy edge of working 100%. And I know that's not the case all the time, but it's still a hit or miss a little bit, I think. And you got the silicon lottery that plays a part of that as well, right? So I may get to that, in future videos, but it would be a PC that I'm just building for experimental purposes. I would not do it for one that I want to count on. Yes, it makes the less heat, the undervolting, absolutely. It lowers the overall wattage that's being drawn because the voltage has gone down. But you have to make sure that the square waves that it depends on are not suffering from that, are getting too close to being considered null or floating in the middle, or being considered a 0 when they're a 1. And that's usually what happens and leads to people crashing their systems, right? So I know that I know the technology. I've done it in college in terms of playing with the voltage levels on circuitry in general, the digital circuits, that is, and you can look at it in the oscilloscope, and you can see as you get really close to the edge of its capability, you start to see the capacitive effects of it. Now that happens more with the overclocking than the undervolting, but some people do both, right? But when you overclock it, you start seeing the capacitance and the inductance that's present on the electronics near the components that are critical, and it starts affecting what the square wave looks like. And I'll get to this because I do want to make videos showing this type of stuff. I went ahead and bought some nice equipment that I want to show people. Test equipment, that is, high end. I did buy a PC attached. Let me switch to the other one. A PC attached oscilloscope, but it has a lot of limitations, and it's not very high speed, and it's a little bit on the flaky side. So you'll see what I bought when I get to that, and I haven't even opened the box on that. Okay, it's sitting right there behind me. Okay. Yeah, overclocking, they both had their issues potentially, and when you do both together, you could become a little bit you potentially multiply errors. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do, I have videos out there on the Praxis Workbench. Now, I'm not going to pull it out of the corner. There's a lot of stuff wrapped around it right now. But one thing that it suffers from is having a cooler on it. So what I've decided to do is put a AIO cooler on it. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I do have this one that I know that you say is complete garbage, but it might be okay for purposes of a test bench. The one that I have right now from what's the name of this company again? This is the ones that Gamers Nexus said was a disaster. Okay, let me right, this one here, the Liquid Max 2, right? So I may start with this because that will at least give me something that I can then have cooling that's more than hit or miss. And again, it's not meant to be used in production. It's meant to just be used for purposes of testing out something. I probably should have put that PC that's on the oops, got the wrong one. I should have put that on the PC that's over here. Right, the one that I have to finish my my new high-end content creation PC. Right now it has that cooler on it. right? So I should have put that board, the way it's sitting there, I should have put it on a test bench, but I have both of my test benches with motherboards on them for different reasons, okay? So that's the upgrade of the test bench. Let's see, what do I have next? My VM application server, which I don't have in here right now, but I want to upgrade it. Right now it has 64 gigabytes of DDR5, and I want to double that. Now I may run into that problem with the putting 4 sticks of memory, so I may have to go down to the minimum speed that's supported by the DDR5, but we'll see. Maybe I can get a little bit out of it. But we'll see. I understand that some people have been successful in upgrading firmware on certain motherboards, and they were able to get it to work more reliably with 4 sticks of DDR5. But anyway, yeah, Gamers Nexus was not happy with that. So that's what I plan on doing to my VM application. I also want to add a couple of extra hard drives into it, larger hard drives. I have a couple of them there that are on my shelf, but they're only 6 terabytes. So I may want to buy, if nothing else, I'll put 2 of those in. I think I have 1 of them in there now, and I'll just add 2 more. But I'm thinking maybe I should just buy a couple of bigger ones, and we'll see how I decide to do with that. Thanks, Catherine. Hopefully all those videos work out well, and some live streams maybe along the way with that. My new NAS server, I've talked about that for a while. I have all the parts for this. The only problem is I've been waiting to upgrade my daughter's computer because I want to use the CPU that she has in her existing computer. I have a higher end CPU for it, the 8th gen CPU, and the one that she has, I'm going to take it out and put it into this system. I had 2, and the reason I want to do that, I have 2 motherboards that support the 8th gen Intel. Now one of them is right now not functioning. You may have remembered, Catherine, I accidentally bent a bunch of pins on it. So I have to fix that. Yeah, it'll be running RAID, probably the Sun type RAID, the ZFS, I think it's called. Just like my existing NAS server that I built that's running Sigma NAS. I'm not sure I'm going to run, and I'll get to that, but I'm not sure I'm going to run Sigma NAS on that. But I may switch it over to another operating system, another NAS operating system, but we'll see. But that'll be rated, and that case that I bought for a rack mountable case can support 8 hard drives, so that'll give me a lot of expandability on it. Initially I'm just going to put 4, and then later on I may put 4 additional ones. I'll have to make 2 different pools with ZFS, but that's okay. That's okay. It's probably safer to do that anyway. Yes, it wants RAM, so that particular NAS server, I definitely will be putting 64 gig in it. My existing NAS server running ZFS has 32. It also will have a cache, M2 cache. The one that I have right now has a 500 gigabyte M2 cache in it. And I'm going to put at least a 1 terabyte, maybe larger, on this new NAS in terms of a cache drive. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking about before, a new oscilloscope. And does anybody here want me to open up the box? The box has not even been cut open at this point. Let me show it to you. There's the box. And I didn't even break the seal on it. The seal's not even brick. Does anybody want to see what's inside this thing? I haven't even pulled it out. But I will make a video on doing a full box opening of it and testing it out, getting it up and running and testing it. That's my ultimate goal. Okay. Only because it's you, Catherine. Okay. Let me open this guy up. See what we got. Let me get my handy dandy box opener. This is an 8-channel scope, 100 megahertz. I dabbled at the time with going to 200 megahertz, but I don't think I'll be doing that kind of testing that I need to spend an additional 40% on it, which is what it would have cost me to do that. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Okay. We got here the power supply, the power cord, and then here it looks like there's an instruction sheet over here. Yeah, the instruction booklet, although I've already got the online one that I've been looking at. I got that even before this thing was delivered. Okay, so I've already seen at least the online version of it. Okay, let me put this off to the side a moment. It comes with 4 sets of probes, and it comes with a USB. It looks like a USB A to a USB B, because you can connect this scope to the PC. And you can control it from the PC, and it's got 4 sets of probes. Because it is 4-channel. So I'll put that back in the box for now. And let's take a look at the scope. I'm not going to power it on here, though. I'm just going to show what it looks like. As you can see, never opened. It's got a handle on top. Put that on the side. And there it is. That's a high-end oscilloscope, like the ones I used in college when I took electrical engineering. So this will give me an excellent thing, and I can capture whatever this shows on the PC if I can use the different ways of getting the image I want the right way here, and I can capture it and show it, because it has an output which is over here. It has internet connection too. Look at that. It has a Cat 45. It's got the connector to connect USB. It can go A or B. And I believe that's for a sensor. It's not for a probe. So I have to look at that, because the probes you do in the front here. Now there are accessories to this. I didn't buy them. You can actually turn this into a data analyzer. It's a separate unit that has like 16 little connections to it that you can go right onto the chips directly if you want on a piece of electronic equipment, and you can it'll show all 16 signals at the same time on the screen. So it's really nifty. Anyway, now getting this gets me into the mode that I originally wanted the channel to go into, which was to get into some real interesting type technology that a lot of people may not have been exposed to, and show people how you can use it. I wish I had this scope when I was testing that power supply from Corsair. Yeah, you remember that other scope? It didn't work very well. Okay, Tony, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. this tape out of the way. I don't want the tape to cause any issues with the screen, so I'm getting rid of this so I can put the packaging back on. But I want the plastic back on, so that's what I'm doing here. And I'll save the powering on part for when it's when I do the full full video on this. There we go. So that's the oscilloscope that I bought. Let me put the instructions in here, and I put the power cord in here so I don't lose it. Okay. I have owned that for probably about 9 months. It's hard to believe, but you know, I kept waiting for the right time, which never happened, right? So let me only go to this one. And you know, it's what it is now. It's on my schedule to do, because anything I put in this presentation is going to be done. So I plan on doing a lot of experiments with it, Catherine. It's why because of that type of device, and the one that I have, the scope, the microscope, the electronic microscope that I did make a video about, and other equipment that I have sitting here now that you'll see in a moment. I want to have a real scientific bench over there. The bench that I put together that's across on the other side of the room. Right, just to show that again, let me go to the monitor cam, and I'll take this and show you what I'm talking about. You see way over there? There's the bench on the other side of that monitor, below the TV set and past the cameras. Okay, I'm going to be painting that wall too. Right now I have the rest of my studio here painted with an 18% gray, so it's very neutral to colors. So I'm going to be doing the same thing to that wall too. So if I go, let me start this way. You see what I mean? Here's where the clock is, and when I get over to that wall, it now turns into a very light, an off-white as opposed to a gray. So I'm going to be fixing that. Okay. Make sure that this is positioned right now. There we go. There we go yet. I'm going to get it right. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it'll go on my workbench, and on the floor next to it, I'm going to have that lab unit that I made that killed my Raspberry Pi, because that's what I need to set up the test circuits that I plan on testing. I'm not going to try connecting a Raspberry Pi to it again, though. If I do, I'll be very careful in terms of the power connections that I use. That unit, that test unit, though, does not have a USB-C power output, which is a good thing, because then it's not likely I would connect it up to the Raspberry Pi. And if I do go to the power over Ethernets anyway, then it's okay, because it would get the power from my switch. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay, we're just over an hour in. How many people do I have right now? Let me see, looking at it. It fluctuates between 6 and 12. Right now it looks like we're about 7, no, 8. Trying to go between 7 and 8 in terms of my the graph that YouTube shows. So let me go back to this, and the audio mixer. That's a whole new thing. And the mixer I have has worked for me, but it does not have features that I like. So it's, what is it called? I forget the name. It's a name brand for mixers. I got a low end with only 4 ports on. I can't pull it out without disconnecting the sound. So I'll leave that alone because the wires are all stuck in the back there, you know, and I don't want to mess that up. Yahoo, it starts with a Y. Let me see, where's my flashlight? Maybe I can read it here. Yeah, Pile, I'm sorry. It's a Pile 4 input mixer. Really only 2 that can be controlled 100%. The other 2 only partially. So the one that I got is a good one. Let me show you the box. It's a Rodecaster Duo. It also has just 4 main ports, but it has a lot of other connections to it. For example, one thing that this will be able to do that my other one can't easily do without having a lot of fancy connections is to use my Rode wireless microphones. It can actually answer to the Rode wireless. Let me go in the overhead here and you'll see what I mean. Zoom in a little bit. So here's my Rode wireless microphone. That's one of the microphones. Here's the receiver to it. So I can use these microphones, and I got 2 of them in my kit, right? My Rode kit. I would not need this receiver and then connect an analog cable between it and the mixer. This will answer as the receiver. It can be set up to answer to the actual Rode microphones. So that's a big deal because I like using these. I use them exclusively now when I make videos, right? So I want to keep doing that. And that will give me the ability to have it integrated. Plus it has a lot of other features to it. I'm not going to open this one up. I want to open this one up clean when I do the video on it. But you could look it up. The Rode Caster 2, and it has a lot of hefty features to it. Can't even read them all here, but it's got a lot of nice features. Let me see. Does it open up easily? Maybe it does. Okay, let me see what we got here. Oh, it's not even taped. Wow, look at that. But just, let me see, can I pick this up and show the back of it? Just on the back of this thing alone, you can see, let's see, can I pull this out without breaking anything? You can see all that it does. It can also connect to the internet. It can get software downloads to keep it up to date through the internet. That's what this is for. It can have 2 standard microphones, and then it has 2 more which can be dual microphones. And it can do a headphone if you want back here. It has a USB-C. It has an amazing set of features. I'm not going to go through them all here, but when I do the separate video on this, you'll see what I'm talking about. But that's a real step up for my future live streams. Okay? I have to say Rode, is that what you're saying? Oh, I'm sorry. Rode. Okay. I call it Rode. Okay. So that's this. the Rodecaster. Now I also bought a new headset for it, just for it. The other headset I have is on my downstairs computer when I'm editing. I don't want to be moving it upstairs and downstairs. So this one got good ratings, this Astro headset. Wasn't that expensive, you know, maybe $40. And it'll help me make sure that everything is honky-dory with it. Right now I'm using a cheap headset to do it right now. So let me see. Let me go to the monitor. Somebody may have saw me in the beginning. This is the headset I have here, a real cheap one that I bought. It cost like, you know, $4 or $5. And it just lets me know if it's actually going through, whether or not I have sound or not. But it's not quality. There's no quality to this whatsoever. It's just for go, no go, not for actually getting a feel for what might be going online. Okay, let's go back to the screen. Okay, so oh, this is an interesting one. Did I bring that up? I may not have brought it up. I may not have brought it up, and I don't want to run downstairs and get it. But I got this little device. It's called it's from a company called Digilent, and they sent it to me. Full disclosure, it's probably the only thing that I have in this whole presentation that I didn't buy. And it includes an oscilloscope, a waveform generator, a logic analyzer. The thing that I said you can do is an add-on to this oscilloscope I showed a few minutes ago. And it can also do a variable power supply, all in one little portable unit. And obviously I owe it to the company. They haven't been on my case to do a video, you know, so I really feel guilty about it. That may be moved up on the list, only because it would be nice to show that and then show the larger oscilloscope right after it, if you know what I mean. But it seemed like a very nifty. It also has a little breadboard with it, and it's got two BNC channels, so it sounds like something that'll be really nifty in that regard. Okay. A book scanner. Now I didn't bring that up, it's too big. Another thing I bought, and I didn't open it up. And I got the idea from Jeremy. I don't know if Jeremy's still around or not, but he had bought one of those and he made a video about it. He got a higher end one than I did, though. I got one that was mainly meant not for scanning books. It does scan them. I don't know how high quality it'll do that, though. So my real goal was just to have something that I could use during a live stream, that I could show hard copy documents up close and in a nice form, because this scanner will actually reformat it on the page for you, and you can zoom in, zoom out of the document and of the book pages, and if you want to show something in the books, that would be ideal. And that would, another thing I forgot to bring up here is a book that I got for one of my projects. I'll be talking about that in a minute. But some of these older textbooks have a lot of good stuff in them. And if I'm doing something to get into the real depth of electrical engineering, then it would be helpful to be able to show some of the old books that I got too. Okay. Hide it, my cats bite always the volume rocker on mine. Oh, you mean the headset? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, well, I don't want to tell you stories about my cat, Catherine. I got two of them, as you know. And the one who's a temperamental cat, she's getting herself in real trouble, you know, opening her claws at my granddaughter. So, you know, back when they were first born, we had not yet rescued them. Those two cats as kittens, small kittens, and their brother, because they're both female, they were with their mother, Even the father was hanging around for a while, and we actually put together a dog house and turned it into a cat house with insulation and everything. My daughter and my wife, I think both my daughters and my wife, they put it together. I helped them with some of the, assembly part, but not much. And it's sitting right out in front of the house underneath the bushes. And I keep telling them that if they try to scare my granddaughter, there might be some, cats living outside for a while. My granddaughter doesn't like hearing that, but that's the way I look at it. Anyway, I'm not as patient with them as everybody else, I guess. I don't know. So that's the book scanner. Then we have, this is another one. It's sitting over there, but I can't dig it out. It's buried underneath all of the pile of stuff underneath there. Let me go to the monitor cam again. No, not that one. Monitor cam. And so from this perspective here, if you look at the pile of stuff that's over here on this side, buried underneath all of that stuff, all those three motherboard boxes and some other boxes sitting right over here underneath this. It's actually underneath the test bench. This is that test bench that I was talking about before, with the 3060 sitting on it and a motherboard sitting on it. And by the way, that's the motherboard that'll be going into my my streaming rig when I upgrade it. Not because there's any real technical problem with the one that's in there, but I need another ×4 slot, and I'll show you that. But sitting underneath that is the actual box for this laser engraver cutter. Now, I got to be careful. I don't necessarily have the ventilation in this room to actually run it in here. So this is one of those things that I may need to, it connects up to my network. I may need to connect it up to the network in the garage and set up a thing in there. I don't know what we're going to do with the junk sitting in that particular spot that I have in mind, but we'll do something with it. And I'll set up the laser engraver in there. It's a laser engraver cutter, so it can cut up to 1/4-inch plywood, in addition to being able to engrave almost all materials except for clear plastic. It can engrave any plastic that has a tint to it, because the laser just goes right through clear plastic. There's ways around that, and if I decide to make future videos about different techniques on how to use it, I'll probably try to use those techniques, because I do want to try to engrave clear plastic. Right? It would have made putting my professional engineering emblem, a lot easier job to do than the way I did it. So that's what that is. And I got for Christmas, I believe, I got an accessory to it that was on my Christmas list from my family, a video camera. I got the sentence all messed up, but it's from the same company that makes the laser engraver. It's the camera that has a pole that hovers over the laser engraver's workspace, and it can get exact measurements of where to do the engraving or cutting. Makes it much more accurate. So I have that sitting there ready to go. Again, sitting in boxes back there. So it's hard to believe, but that's right. Okay. It says we still have what, like 8 people on, 7, 8. It says 8. So I don't know if we really have them or not, but yeah. Got a lot of messages from you, Catherine, that's for sure. Okay, what's next? Oh, I have a whole soldering station that I did make a video about. It's going to go on that same workbench that's over there. And it's meant for doing surface mount components. And I have some test boards that they're kits actually you buy just for doing the practice. And I've had that again for a while. I've used a soldering iron on that, and I've used the main gun as a heat gun, right? I've done that, but I haven't used it yet as a soldering, a hot air soldering unit, and it would be for surface mount components. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but that's the technology now. If you have a device like a Pi 3 that I killed, if I can get the chip, the power unit conversion chip, which I know that that's what's wrong, then I could possibly fix it. And that would make me feel better if I could do that. I talk too much? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry. Okay. The Atari 1040 ST, that's in the garage in a big box. I meant to put a picture here, but I didn't have time before this live stream. You can look it up, you'll see a picture of it, but I have all the components to it, including external hard drive. It's only 20 meg, believe it or not. It's an old system. Like I said, I went through graduate school with that, my master's in computer science. I have two different monitors, a color monitor and a black and white monitor. The reason I have both is the black and white monitor is higher resolution. And I could actually make, oh no, you're not, it's not you, you're not talking too much. I love the comments, Catherine. I know sometimes I can talk too much. That's what I was not surprised that came up because I thought it was me. But this is going to be an interesting one. Now, it looks like I should have covered it up better. Well, the last time I looked at it was a couple of years ago. And I hope it can still read the floppy drives. The floppy drive reader is in the main unit. And I don't think I can put a secondary one on it. So if that floppy drive reader cannot read a floppy, then we're out of luck. I can show the screen on it. I can show the icons that it defaults to, but I wouldn't be able to run anything. So what good is that? Because all my software for it, games and whatever, and there's a couple of good games in there that I used to run are on floppy disk, these 3.5-inch hard floppy disk. But I'll try it. That's why I put at least trying to see if I can get it to work. Anyway, so it's worth a try, right? And then I want to finish my dream editor, the one that's sitting here on the bench right now, right? The 14th gen Intel. Right, that I'm showing over here that I did make videos about. So I want to finish that one up, put it in the case, and start getting ready to do the water cooling, because this is going to be a custom water cooling loop. And I did show in one of the videos, I did show all of the things that'll go that I bought just for dealing with that custom water cooling loop. So let me see. Let's see, can I get it out easily? Actually, I can. I'll just show the outer box real fast. Let me go to the main. So I start with this kit. If I can get it out of here, it's heavy. Here we go. This is the Corsair custom water cooling kit. It's out of focus, isn't it? Let me see if I can get it to focus here. Right. Otherwise, I'll have to hit the button on top. That's my old 4K camera that I'm using there. So let me force focus here. There we go. So this is the Corsair kit, and this is most of the parts that I need, but not all of them, as I showed in that other video. And I bought a lot of other stuff to make it so that I can do the full job, including making it slightly better than this kit is meant to make it. Putting fill ports and draining ports and things like that. That's my goal. But this is what I'll start with. It has all of the main parts in it: the pump, the reservoir, pump reservoir combination. It has the controller for the RGB and the fans and all of that. So it has all of that stuff in it. Okay. And initially I'm going to it only has 64 gig, and I'm going to eventually, and probably in a future video, I may try it during the video, one of the videos that I'm doing this with, I already have the other 64 gig of memory, the G-Skill memory, but that would bring me up to, 128 gig, right? 264 sets, 128, which is the maximum that motherboard supports. And that's what I'd like to have for this super editing PC, right? Anyway, that's what my goal is anyway. Okay. So those are all the projects that I have that are stuff that I have, just about everything, if not everything. As I said along the way, there's a couple of parts that I still have to buy, but it's not that much. But here, the second section of this, I have some projects that I have almost none of the parts, if any. So the first one is taking my high-end HP Omen laptop that I use for remote editing. It's meant to be a gaming PC, but it's well equipped and can do editing very well too, with a very large 17-inch monitor screen on it, 165 hertz screen, LCD. It came with 32 gig. It has, I'll have to pull out those two 16 gig SODIMMs that are in there, SODIMMs, and I'll have to replace it with two 32 gig to give me a total, which is the max supported by that, of 64 gigabytes. So I'd like to have 64 gigabytes on it. And it also has a second M2 slot. So I'm going to try to put another 2 terabyte. Right now it has one 2 terabyte storage. I might even try a 4 terabyte and see if it'll do that. That'll give me a 6 total. And one will be for system and one will be for storage of the videos. And having that much storage would make it a lot nicer, right? So this is a dream upgrade that I haven't bought the parts yet for. It'll probably cost me, I don't know, $300 to $400 to buy those parts, to be honest with you. The next one that I have is, I didn't bring that up. That was the book I was referring to before. And I have the chips. And I have my platform that I was talking about before to actually, breadboard it and connect up the equipment that I need to it, the scopes and the signal generators to test it, whatever I need. And it's going to be complex. This is probably going to take me multiple videos, and whether I actually get it working fully functioned or not is going to be a big question. Because to get a 68,000 chip to work standalone, you have a very complex set of clocking that you need. So I do have, and did I skip it by accident? I do have another device that I didn't show you. I may have to back up to it. Let me finish this first. That'll actually let me generate multiple signals into a design board. And then finally, the last one that I have to buy parts for, and I haven't even designed what I want yet, but I'm going to make a new streaming system to replace this one. This will be turned into a backup at that point. We're talking about, though, this might be a year ahead from now. You never know. Could get lucky if I have a lot of time and I can devote to this, and I can, get a lot more subscribers to help me pay for it. I might go ahead and buy another set of equipment to build a whole new AMD system. I want to have a high-end AMD system as well. Okay? Yeah, it might be Black Friday. I might be able to get some of it, yeah. So I did pass something that was important. I must have hit the thing by accident. Let me back up. Or did I forget it completely? I might have forgot it completely. I didn't put it in here. Did I put it in the actual Word document? Let me take a look at the Word document. Did I put it in there? Let me see. Let me open up that Word document again. That I thought I was copying it piece by piece accordingly. Let me see if I missed that, which is possible. Let me see. Yeah, I have it on here. Let me zoom this in, and you'll be able to see it at least on the Word document. How big can I make it? Sorry about that. I made a mess up when I was building this. Let me switch over to the screen. So what it is this entry right here. It was between this oscilloscope and the Rodecaster. I had one that I must have not put the slide in. I apologize. And there's a device that is a signal generator, the digital signal generator, that you can change the types of signals it generates, and it can be used for multiple clocks when you're trying to set up a device that needs clocking capability. So let me switch from this to the overhead. Okay. And I'll move the camera a little bit again, like that, and I'll put it on the bench because I do have this here. Might as well show you what I got. Here it is. Signal generator from a company called, it's not the highest end, it's medium. It's a medium capability one. They have better ones that cost probably even more than the oscilloscope. And it has also 4 ports on it. So it can generate, I believe it's 4 ports. Let me open it up. I think I may have opened the box on this one, I forget. Let's take a look at it. Maybe not. Doesn't look like I touched it. Yeah, it has 4 different output ports. Here, let me take this plastic off. Did I lose my camera? Yeah, my camera overheated. Sorry about that. Let me switch to the side camera. Sorry about that. So here it is. It's got four different outputs that you can do, and it can generate different types of signals and different frequency signals at each of these outputs. And it has a little digital screen to it to help you control it, and it also can connect up to your PC and be controlled by the PC right there with a USB-B cable. All right. So I believe it has the, well, it has the USB cable. I pulled it out first thing, just like the scope. And then it has BNC to BNC, so you can connect it up to another device. And then it has all the cables that allow you to take the output from each of those ports and puts them into whatever circuit you want to generate. Something for, right? So that's what this is. It's a signal generator, and if you're going to do circuit experiments, you really need that. You can't do it without a signal generator. I didn't want to spend a lot of money, so this thing was of the lower end, you know, but I think it will do what I want to do, because I'm not doing, you know, I'm not actually creating sellable devices, right? I'm just doing experiments for YouTube. So it should be good enough, okay? Pretty much all of this that I do here, I'm not trying to invent the wheel, right? Or invent a new device. People have asked me that. I'm just trying to create interesting content for people on YouTube and learning something, because my channel is a educational channel after all, right? So there we go. Let's see, where are we at? Yep. Okay. So that's in case it didn't show right on the other camera before. What I need to do is I have some upgrades to my studio. I have the power that skips the battery. Right now I still have a battery in there, and even though I have the charger connected to it, it extends it, but it does, if the battery runs out, the camera will still shut off. So I have to run the wires up through along the extending arm here that I have. I don't know if people have seen this or not when they did the studio, but it has an actual extending arm that I can go up, down, and I can extend in and out, and I can put a camera on like I did, right? That's a Sony ZV-1, and it works out very well. It's a very clear 4K camera. So I have to redo that a little bit, just to let everybody know. So I not only have projects like that I've been showing you here, but I also have the projects for, improving the studio. So I think I've covered everything I want to cover in terms of the projects that I want to do. Let me answer any questions first that people might have, with what I showed. If anybody's listening, they have some questions about it, I'll be glad to try to answer those questions. Let me go to the front-facing cam. Your mic quality is great. What label mic do you use? I bought this from Amazon. It is a it actually connects up to one of the XLR connectors on my what do you call it, the mixer. So I have two XLR inputs, and this is connected up to one of them. What's that? For some reason there's a heart that keeps jumping in the way of this stuff. I can't read everything that's let me say move cursor so I can see what's going on here. Okay, when is the Raspy live stream? Oh, I haven't decided yet what the dates are for any of this stuff. It's going to take me a couple of days just to get my head together and make sure I understand my new scheduling. I still do my teaching on the side of my hobby, which is what my second channel that I make next year will be based on, right? The hobby that I teach, but I'm not going to go into that here. And business has been busy with that. A lot of people interested in taking courses on that particular hobby. So me and my partner, and I do have a partner for that one, and that one is done through Zooms and some face-to-face classroom, usually 50-50 of each. But then there's another part to it where we actually go in the field and we do the hobby. So there's a certain, I would say that adds up to maybe 20%, 15 to 20% of the total time of those courses. But there's a lot of that going on right now. I have one coming up. This weekend is free. My family wants to celebrate my retirement on Saturday. And the weekend after that, though, the Saturday anyway, I have a 12-hour class I'm giving from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for that hobby. So I gotta, get myself organized in terms of where the extra time from not having to go to a day job can best be used. I was hoping to spend a lot of it though on YouTube, because it's not really needed so much for the other side job at this point. That could change depending on demand, but right now I think I could continue to handle that with, mostly a Saturday and maybe one day during the week every once in a while. So that'll give me a lot of time for doing the YouTube stuff, and if I can do that, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm not one to just rest on my laurels. Even when I'm resting, I'm studying for the next thing I want to do. So I watch a lot of content, maybe more than I should, of other videos. I'm learning technology that other people have tried, and some of them I get an idea from in terms of doing my own video. Like some of the stuff I showed here today. I got a lot of the ideas for getting that based upon videos that I saw. And when I'm watching one of those videos, I said, I wish they would have done this type of thing. And that's what I try to do. I try to make sure I cover those things that when I watched it, I was hoping they would cover. Now sometimes that requires study on my part because I may not be that good at it. Like the Raspberry Pi operating system, for example, I had to do a lot of studying on that before the videos I made a couple of years back about it. And when it comes to dealing with some of those hats that I'm putting onto my Raspberry Pi 5 that I showed earlier, you have to modify the Raspberry Pi BIOS, which is not necessarily trivial. And you don't want to get that wrong because you could mess it up. It's much more difficult than a standard modern motherboard's BIOS to play with. And Jeremy has done some of that, so I appreciate the fact that he's done that. I've watched, if not all, most of his videos on those types of things. And again, I do the same thing. I see a different way I would present it. I see something else I would talk about related to it. I try to cross it to something else that's similar, and hopefully people are getting something out of that. DC, you mean direct current? Is that what you're referring to, Catherine? I'm reading your comment. I learned the symbol for DC yesterday. So you're getting into electronics, huh? You're getting into it with this stuff. Hey Jay, how you doing? You probably caught me in my last 15-20 minutes at this point. I went through all of the projects that I am hoping I can do soon, now that I'm retired from my day job and have more time. I'm not going to say a lot more time, because I still have my other paying side job that's teaching my hobby on the side, right? And I'll probably, as I said earlier, I'm going to probably make another channel to cover that one next year, probably early next year, right after the holidays. I thought I found a voltmeter. I might as well use it. Yeah, you might as well. There's a lot to it. I have one of mine sitting right on in here because I use it all the time. My fluke that I made a video about. Now this is a simple one compared to a complex one, but it does all the things that I want to do. So I know I made a video about this, but let me take it out again anyway, because I use it all. This will wind up on the bench very soon. It can be mounted to the wall, but I'm not gonna. I got a closet there right now. I'm not gonna mount things to the closet doors. But this is my fluke meter. Now, fluke was the first digital voltmeter I ever used when I became a computer technician, way back when in the 70s. And they were known for accuracy, and that's why they have such a good name and a good reputation to them. But for this one, you have turn it on. You can see, you can turn a light on. It has a It has a light capability, so you can do all sorts of things. You can measure your body resistance. If I go to ohms, I can measure my body resistance on it, right? I'd have to attach a probe, which I'm not going to do. That's the resistance measurement. So I use it all the time. And I have another one that's downstairs that has many more features to it, including testing transistors and diodes and things like that. But I generally don't do that. You don't need to test those types of things too often. And you could test a diode with a regular ohm meter. Transistors, how many people are using transistors? Even though I have quite a collection of transistors in kits that I got towards the beginning of this channel, that I planned on building circuits, which I still may do, because the transistor circuits are by far as interesting as the digital logic circuits. They're easier to see what's happening, right? So this is the one I have here in my studio. I keep it underneath the table here at all times. And I have, there's also one built onto, it's not anywhere near as accurate as that, the one that's built onto the hot air / regular soldering iron / meter, because it has a voltmeter in it too, and a power supply. But it's not very accurate. Right? It gives you just a rough number. It doesn't give you accuracy. You have the Klein MM400, but it can do a lot. I read the menu and watched the videos too. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what your background necessarily is in electronic technology and circuits, but you really have to, have some perspective on what you're trying to do. Just like anything else, it gets even more complex when you're talking about digital circuitry. Yep, you got to try it. It's with electronics and technologies, it's all hands-on. And like I said, I'm hopeful that I can do more of that if people are interested. I can show people how to make a little amplifier with 2 transistors and a couple of capacitors and a couple of resistors, and we could actually show the input coming in at a certain level and the output coming in amplified, and I could even put an adjustable resistor on it to change how much it amplifies by, which is the basis for like everything that we see. That's the first circuits I learned actually going back to high school, because I went to a technical high school in New York City. One thing nice about New York City, the high schools, half of them are not normal high schools, okay? And they're specialty schools, and they have them on all sorts of things. They have one on airplanes, and in the senior year, they actually get a chance to go up in a plane and with a pilot and have them take the stick for a while and things like that. But they learn all of the aeronautics behind that in order to make it so that it makes sense when they're putting it all together. I now have a friend of mine that went to the School of Aeronautics. It's a regular high school, but it's only regular for the first year and a half, and then starting in the second half of the 10th grade until you graduate, you're spending most of your time on whatever this high school specialty is. They now have them on computer security, they have them on architecture, they have them, you name the profession, they have it. There's some on medicine, general medicine, and you're not going to graduate with any sort of medical license, but you'll learn things that you probably wouldn't learn otherwise in terms of what you need to know. So if somebody decides later on they go to college, they go to pre-med, and eventually go to med school, they have a good foundation. And that's what those specialty schools are meant for, to give you that foundation, so that it's not foreign to you when you get into the the programs at the college or graduate school level. Very, very powerful. Oh, you're getting specialty high schools? That's great. Like I said, I went to one. I had to take a test to get into the program in it. The school had several different specialties to it, and only the top 2 specialties required a very high technical proficiency. So we had to take what I think was IQ tests more than anything else, because they didn't get into electronics, obviously. But they were trying to see how good at math and logic you were, because that's a requirement if you're going to get into electronics. Yep, biomed too. And again, it prepares you for that type of studies in college. It's very well worth it if somebody happens to have that resource available to them. Now, is it perfect? No, because I think what happened was, it was good if I was going to go just to engineering school, pure engineering, electrical engineering school. And that's what I originally intended to do when I entered that high school. And I would have been prepared for that, because we even covered, calculus and chemistry and courses that you would have to take in electrical engineering, right? The only thing is, they didn't prepare me for the non-technical subjects well enough. And then I chose a college where that was probably more important than the technology. And when I went to the Air Force Academy as a cadet, I only lasted 1 year because I couldn't keep up the high enough grades because of those non-technical subjects. I mean, I blew away the calculus and the electronic courses that we had to take, but I could not keep up with the English and the social studies and the world studies and the required language that you had to do. No engineering school I know of, at the time had a required language. Right? And they required you to take one. They gave you a choice of 7 different languages. I figured I was going to be an Air Force officer. I would be better off learning. At the time, the Cold War was still going on. It had not ended yet. And I figured, well, I better learn Russian. I went through 2 classes in Russian, and they said, no, this is not going to work. So then I resorted to a language at least I knew something about, which was Spanish. And I was able to, at least pass that class. Barely. Because the instructor there, who was from a Latin American country, he was he told me on the side, he was disappointed with me, because he questioned me in the beginning when I first joined his class, 2 weeks late, of course. He said, so you have a Spanish last name. Do you have a background? Did you learn any Spanish? I said, well, my father spoke fluent Spanish. And of course, all my uncles and cousins did. And he goes, well, what were you doing, sleeping? So he was very disappointed at me that I didn't take the opportunity to learn Spanish better. And when I told him, which was the truth, I said, listen, I had trouble with English. I'm a technical person. I'm not a language person. I had trouble with English and, literature and things like that. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So I barely was passing that. I wasn't going to, spend too much of the time in the language. And he thought I was joking. It all depends what you come from, right? So to him, language was it, right? He was a language professor. So, and he was Spanish too. He didn't understand. What's funny about it is that because I hung around with so many people who spoke Spanish, my accent, Catherine, came out very well. It really did. And that's why he thought I was just being lazy, not learning, the right reading and writing of it. That's a totally different thing than speaking it. And of course, I know how to say all the times and any number you wanted in Spanish. Again, I related that to my math background. So anyway, it did not help me going to a technical high school and then going to an academy. The same thing happened to my best friend in high school. He went to the Naval Academy, but he was able to squeak it out past the first year. The first year is the toughest. So that's when they try to weed everybody out. I entered with a class of 1,652 cadets to the Air Force Academy, and at the end of the first year, they cut 450 of us. Not because we were failing, but because the GPA had not reached the line that they had drawn for that class. The class being, everybody who entered at the same time and expected to graduate at the same time. Someday I'll get into that a lot more about what took place there. It was not the place for me, but I was glamorized. It was glamorized at the time, beautiful uniforms and, flying in the planes. But the thing was, I didn't have 20/20 vision. I could never be a pilot in the Air Force. I could be a pilot maybe of cargo planes, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted you to be able to fly jets. And if you didn't have 20/20 uncorrected vision, this is way before the laser eye capability, you weren't going to be able to be considered pilot qualified. You'd be partially qualified, but never fully qualified. I should have gone to West Point when I think back about it, because I was offered an appointment to that one too, but I turned it down. I would have at least had a chance. Anyway, a story of my life, right? I did want to close with what, some of the comments about my job. And some of these I said, matter of fact, I gave my channel name to the HR person who gave me my exit interview. For all I know, she's been listening here. I have no way of knowing, whether or not she jumped on or not. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, I was truthful, I was blunt, and the organization I came from has real issues in terms of, I wouldn't say qualified managers, but experienced managers, and how they dealt with people. I mean, as a manager, when I first took my first management course in my bachelor's degree, it was called Personnel Administration. They harped on this. A manager's purpose is to improve the situation. That's the only way, and there's many stories that exist in the history of even managers existing as a role, because it used to be just had employees doing work for the owner of the small company, right? That's all they had at one time. And then it grew into factories, and you needed middle managers and everything else. But if you're not helping the situation, if you're not able to properly lead and develop the people that work for you, and push them to advance, unless you do that, you're not really, in my eyes, a good manager. Now, people may have a different opinion about that. But I view my view of management as a combination of what I learned trying to get into the academy, studying the concept of an officer in the military, what makes you a successful officer and what doesn't. And it is the same basic set of qualities. The best officers lead from the front. They're not standing in the back and, telling people to run forward, At least not at the lower levels, lieutenants, captains, majors. They got to be in the mix. Now, maybe the generals, you can get away with that because they're thinking more strategically, a larger battlefield. But even they, there's many stories of successful generals who jumped right into it. And they're the ones that made history, not the ones that, went in the back. And that's the way a manager is supposed to be. A manager should be able to do all the work of the people that work for them. I will never differ from that opinion. It doesn't matter now. I'm not going to be working for a manager again. I'll be working with a partner in my other side gig, but never a manager again. So that's a totally different expectation then. But that's the primary thing that I feel was deficient at the job I just retired from. We could have done so much better with with managers, and I'm talking like 3 levels above me. They all thought the same way, and it sort of makes sense because, people tend to rise to a certain level based upon the people who've been there before, right? It's not right, and that's another problem with it, because now the people who don't want to do things in that silly way, and I'm using that word intentionally, there are some people that won't want to follow that. Imagine, being in combat and, this lieutenant's telling you, to do something stupid. If you jump off that cliff, maybe you could get the enemy as you're going down, and you might hit something soft. I mean, how many people are going to be too thrilled about doing that? I'm getting, very, very exaggerating quite a bit here, but in essence, you could think about that. If you're telling people to do something you can't do or wouldn't do, how do they have confidence in you? How? It just doesn't make sense to me. When I manage people, I would never do that. I would never ask somebody to do something I couldn't do or didn't want to do. But maybe I have the wrong idea of it. I don't know. But anyway, that's the main thing that I wanted to say about the job I just retired from. My audio is very low. Is that true? Let me see. I don't know. It's showing up pretty good on the thing here. Let me see. It's popping up, right to where it hits yellow. Anybody else having trouble with the audio on this? Oh, really? The ads are louder. I don't want to have it clipping like I had it during my practice session. I could bump it up a little bit more, but I really don't want to bump it up too much more. Let me see here. I'll give it a little bit more bass gain here. Okay. I don't see the ads. I know that they've been putting them in. I just don't see them. I'm not clipping, so I don't see the clipping on this thing. So I might be able to pump it up a little bit more. Maybe that'll help. That's one of the complaints I have about movies and televisions in general. They tend to make the volume of commercials much louder than the program itself, right? That's a whole separate issue that just popped in my head. Sorry about that, Jay. How's that sound? Does it sound any better? I pumped up the gain a little bit and I pumped up the output volume a little bit. Let me check the, I have a headset connected to it. Not a high-end one, but it's a go, no-go type. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I put it down. I somehow accidentally put it down. I think I pulled the wire and it pulled it down. I apologize for that. I should have been keeping track of the bars. So the wire was wrapped around the lever, and when I pulled it, it pulled away from that. I think that was actually the headset that did it. Yeah. Oh well. Sorry about that. Does that sound any better now? Okay. So anyway, what I was saying, the other frustrating part was the way some of the junior people in our team was being managed and not developed and not given credit for what they do. It almost seems like at times, well, first of all, they admittedly say, the management above me, that their main concern is that they check the box. So if they have a project or a piece of a project that needs to be done, all they care about is that you get it done. The quality of it, well, they claim that that's a matter of opinion, and the reliability of it going forward, again, it's argumentative if you want to get into that discussion. But having the junior people not developed, and I hate to say it, but sometimes it just seems like a project is started, and it's almost like they pre-pick who's going to be the one who's going to be blamed if something goes wrong. They were very reluctant to do it to me because I was very outspoken, and I called them on it all the time, and they just tended to try to avoid that embarrassment when I called them out, because in reality, I would not give up. So if they brought something up in a meeting, which they were very careful not to do, if I was there, they would think twice about that. Now, not to say they wouldn't do it, but it usually took a couple of them to try to gang up on me. Not one would try to come at me. Like the level right above me and the level above that would try to. I think they even have a pre-meeting to plan for it. That's another problem with a bad set of management, right? They got somebody that is going to give them a hard time, so they got to pre-plan how they're going to deal with it at the next meeting. Either you believe in what you're saying or you don't. Now, I know I'm outspoken and maybe more confident than they feel comfortable with, but that's just the way it is. So when I see junior people who work very hard And they didn't report to me because you may not have heard, I was a program manager. So I was the manager of a particular function. In my case, all of the standards that we had to meet for the federal government on computer security and our control systems. And the standards are pretty clear. And it doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation in a lot of the standards. And I'm by the book. My scoutmaster called me that as I rose up the ranks from a scout to an Eagle Scout. He used to refer to me, "Where's the book?" And he wasn't talking about a physical book, he was talking about me. and because I had memorized the Boy Scout book. If there was something that he wasn't sure what was that, he wanted me to come to explain that to him. So I've always been a difficult person, as you can see. But you have to learn how to deal with that. I mean, I had difficult people working for me too, and I appreciated that. Because I'm up for a debate. I don't care. I mean, if they're right, I'll say you're right. You're right. You as I think about what you're saying, it makes sense. Or if I'm right, I'll say I'm sorry, but I think I'm still right. So I'm willing to have that banter back and forth. But you got to have some level of confidence in what you're doing to do that. And that's one of the things that I think our organization that I just retired from, they don't have. They really don't. So I'm rambling here again, but I think it's important to understand why I retired now, as opposed to when I was originally thinking I would retire. Well, I've never been bullied. Let's put it that way. The last time I got bullied, Catherine, was physical bulliness, probably in elementary school, before I had my growth spurt. Now, one thing about middle schools in New York City, especially the neighborhood I was in, they are very tough on boys. There's, at least in my time frame of being in one of those, they call them junior high schools, they don't even call them middle schools. And 6th grade is terrible. 7th grade gets better because, you're starting to, not too many people are bigger than you. And then your 8th grade, you're better off as long as you have some height to you. I was fortunate that I had the height and I had the strength. So if push comes to shove, and sometimes it did, I could handle myself. Okay, so I had done that many times. I had schoolyard fights all the time, and maybe in a future live stream, or maybe the other channel, I'll be talking about some of those. But I didn't put up with it. I was ready to take the blows, but I was going to dish them out too. That's the way I looked at it. Again, obviously, I had the benefit of having some size and some strength behind me. Not everybody was in that situation, who were males anyway. The girls dealt with their own set of problems. It was a different set of problems, though. With them, having, starting to approach adulthood at age 13 and so, and that's a whole set of different problems. But it usually didn't involve fighting. At least in my time, it didn't. They were just nasty to each other, There was no social media then, so they couldn't do social media bullying. So it's only what they had to face in school. So we sort of had an advantage to that too. You got in fights, Catherine? I bet you won most of them, huh? Wow. Well, it's like anything else, you learn to survive, right? Anyway, I just wanted to give you the feel of what the reason that I decided to retire, which some could argue was a year to year and a half earlier than I thought I would. And it was all because of the management that I was dealing with. And at the age I'm at, it's not one that I can go get another job easily. It's either put up with that Or, since I was old enough to do it and I'd been there long enough to do it, retire. Right? So a lot of people there retire a lot younger than me. But it's still difficult to think that those people who are still going to continue to torment some of the junior people are still going to do that. That bothers me a lot. It's something I have to deal with. Anyway, a stupid boy called Simon. Let me, because there's a heart that keeps blocking the text. I can't read it for some reason. I don't know why it does that. I can't get rid of it. I tried. Yeah, I can't get rid of it. So the end of the sentences, sometimes I run into a problem. So Simon didn't do well in the fight, I guess. That would be my guess anyway. In my neighborhood, there was a guy that was Johnny. He lived on the same block I did. And he had an abusive father. And that was difficult too, because the way he reacted to it, his father saw him getting bullied, and his father's solution to that was not what mine would have been. He said, well, you got to fight them more. And Johnny just didn't have the physical acumen for that. And he was very bright. I mean, I saw him finish, a 300-page book in like 2 days. I could never do that. I had the edge on him in math, but he had the edge on me in the other non-technical subjects. So he wasn't a dumb kid. I was a friend of mine most of the time, until he was pressured by his father to react to people. And he didn't know, he wasn't old enough to understand when he should and should not react to people. So we'd be playing a game, and he would lose the game, and he would interpret that. And this is what I'm guessing. I'm not a psychologist. He would interpreting that as me bullying him. We're winning a game. We're playing a game. You gotta play to win the game. If I lose a game, I'm not going to go and start freaking out. And sometimes, unfortunately, he tended to freak out a little bit, and that I think that was his Achilles heel, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I think I did enough rationalization on that. I went over 2 hours, 2 hours and like 15 minutes right now. So unless somebody has more questions, I might want to wrap this one up. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of different types of kids. A lot of emotionally affected kids, because, for example, Johnny, this guy Johnny I was just telling you about, his father was an alcoholic. He actually owned what today they call a bodega here in New York City. In those days, it was considered like a candy store, And they sold more than candy. It was like a little. People could buy light groceries there too. They had a freezer with milk in it and other stuff, but everybody just called it a candy store. And a lot of times he had it closed because he couldn't get to work, and it was his store. He didn't have anybody working for him other than his wife sometimes would fill in for him. And she was not one that ever spoke. So I don't know if she was abused as well. I wouldn't be surprised at the way he treated Johnny. And there was no social net back then for this in New York City. There was nobody you could call. Today you can, but in those days you couldn't do it. There just was no way of doing it. You call the police, they're going to come and ask what crime is being done. And they didn't view, do any of what he was doing potentially as a crime. His father, I mean. So these are lessons learned through life, right? As an adult, if you see that, you got to speak up for it. And I know a lot of adults that couldn't do that, even today. They'd be afraid. But anyway, any other questions before I call this one off? Okay. Like I said, I have to work up a schedule for when I would do some of these projects. I have to order them in the order that makes sense. As I said, there's some dependency on that. It also will depend on certain other people's actions, you know. So whenever my daughter has her PC ready, you know, I'll jump to that one right away. Yeah, right now she's not ready to turn it over for that purpose. But because I'm probably wind up keeping it for a couple of days, right? But when she is ready for that, then I'll be able to jump onto that one and get that one out of the way. As an example, right? So I will keep alert for anything that I post, and I will try to, you know, give a lot of advance notice when I'm going to do something. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for attending this stream today. One of my longer ones that I've ever done, but I was intending it to be, you know, I wasn't even sure I'd get through all this stuff by this time. I thought maybe it'd go into a third hour very easily. So here we are, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think that's pretty good. Anyway, so thanks again, everybody, and I'll talk to everybody next time. Take care.